What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update as we're now seeing the togetherness of the American people start to terrify those on the left. In this next clip, guys, we now have Fox News's 5 host, Jeanine, coming out absolutely furious, and she is livid, going off on Joe Biden and his remarks that he made during that commencement speech at top HBCU, Morehouse University, guys. He made some very divisive comments, trying to draw a wedge in between the American folks in order to benefit him and his campaigning, guys. I'm excited to get in the clip and see exactly what he said, that made Miss Jeanine get so upset, set her off today. So we're gonna get straight into the clip. I'll get my thoughts on the back end, guys. So definitely stick around to the end. So guys, get my thoughts on the back end, and also YouTube pushes this video out. Definitely stick around until the end, you guys. But let's get straight into the update. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys hit that like button for me and also hit that subscribe button, guys. We're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. Let's get into it, y'all.
Biden delivering a divisive, race-baiting commencement address to an all-male, historically black college in Atlanta. The president painting America as a racist place that does not love black people.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. Extremists close the doors of opportunity. Strike down affirmative action. Attack the values of diversity, equality, and inclusion. They don't see you in the future of America, but they're wrong.
Biden also using that speech to tell brazen lies about Georgia's election integrity law, like this debunked whopper about water. Listen.
Today in Georgia, they won't allow water to be available to you while you wait in line to vote in an election. What in the hell is that all about?
Let's go to you first, Harold.
For no particular reason.
What did you think about the president's speech? Did you find it inspiring?
So I think too often when we are talking about serious issues and we want to opine on them, we sometimes, I think, too often use the prism of race to do it. The backdrop of this is the president's polling numbers with black men is not where he wants them to be. So he wanted to use this effort and platform to be able to do some of that. I listened to a lot of the speech, and he talked a lot about his personal life and talked a lot about his faith. I think you have to step back and treat voters like everyday voters. I oftentimes say you meet people where they are, and every voter is paying too much at the grocery store. Every voter is paying too much at the gas station. Every American is paying too much for housing, or they believe that they are, and most times are. I think that's where you have to talk about this. The idea of trying to make everything about race or trying to isolate race. There's no doubt there are issues that deal with race. The fact that more black kids aren't being educated in school, the fact that more black communities have a saturation of firearms, the fact that more black moms they're born, when their kids are born, the likelihood of them having a health element is greater than it is in other communities. All those things are things we can look to and look to data. But when you're a politician, you're out talking about the things you want to do to make the nation safer. The two biggest issues, the economy, inflation, and border. Those are the issues that every voter, regardless of one's race, that they care deeply about. I think the president gave it a great try in Morehouse, but I would have probably done a little differently.
Okay. Dana, when he says we don't have a democracy if black men are dying in the streets, what is he saying there?
This was a speech that was a long way from hope and change. I don't understand it. And if I were ever to be in a White House again, which I will never be, but let me just say, if I were ever to be there again, if the President of the United States is offered an opportunity to give a commencement speech, and it is an accepted offer, I would say, in no way can you make this about politics. Commencement speeches are not about you or your campaign. They are about the students and the families who just made a lot of sacrifices and worked very hard to get to this moment. And what did he tell them? Your futures are dire. They are dismal. Why'd you even bother? I don't even know why you're here. Why are we here doing this? In fact, everybody, why don't we just all go home? I was miserable about it because I love a good commencement speech. We did ours. Last week, we gave our 1-minute speeches, and they were much more inspiring than this. But I also ask this about every speech. Why are you giving it? Like, why did you give it this way? It's because his base is crumbling in front of his eyes. And so he has to figure out a way to scare them into voting for them. I mean, the numbers are abysmal for him. In Pennsylvania over the weekend, Selena Zito wrote a piece, like she wrote or she tweeted a piece about black voters in Pennsylvania starting to walk away from the Biden campaign. Pennsylvania is a must-win state. And I'm not saying they're going to vote for Donald Trump. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll vote for RFK Jr. if he's on the ballot. But if Biden loses just a fraction of those voters, his coalition falls apart, perhaps for a generation.
Gutfeld.
You know, if he wants to get rid of the poison of white supremacy, he could just resign and let the black lady take over. I wonder how the crowd would have taken that. There were so many things that he said that were just so wrong. When he's talking about black men are getting killed, who's killing them? You know, it's like everything he said was like, well, that's either wrong or what are you not saying? I defended the Kansas City Chiefs speech last week because it wasn't for the couch-bound critics. Mm-hmm. It was done by a Catholic in a Catholic venue to a Catholic audience. He's playing to an audience. But where Butker expressed beliefs, he's parroting lies that are actually based on the assumption that everyone there is a victim. Mm-hmm. It's actually more insulting than anything you could imagine to go there. It wasn't a commencement address. It was a eulogy for the black race. He was like, you're hopeless. You're screwed. He told 13% of America, your country hates you. I mean, talk about putting y'all back in chains, as Biden said about Romney. This is the most divisive leader I think I've ever seen. He's about as uplifting as a terminal illness, and he's only doing it to hold on to power. We've talked about this before. Pitting race against race keeps us busy. So they remain immune to our concerns, right? That's all this is if they could just keep black people like looking at the whites and going, oh, these guys suck, then they're okay. Then when he clapped after the immediate ceasefire line, that tells you everything you need to know about Biden. He will do or say whatever is necessary to play the crowd. He has a spine of a soggy Nerf ball.
But in fairness, President Trump speaks to his crowds when he's before rallying. He says things that I think are out of line and out of bounds.
But they're optimistic. These are pessimistic.
Well, President Trump has been known to hurl a few insults and hurl a few things at
specific people, not at groups.
Right.
I got it, but I'm just saying,
this is a different context. It's a commencement address, and as Dana said, you're trying to be a little more uplifting about the future, Judge Jeanine.
The sad part about this is he is so disconnected, Joe Biden, that he doesn't allow these students to have their moment. He doesn't allow them and their parents to have that celebratory moment, and he is incapable of letting them reflect on what they are able to do in the future. Instead, he wants them all to look backwards and makes it seem like the backwards is today and tomorrow. I mean, he's the racist here. He is the one who is creating the division here. He is the guy who's basically saying blacks are being killed in the streets, you know, and you have to work 10 times harder than the next guy to do as well. Well, I guess he hasn't seen what DEI does. Mm-hmm. I guess he hasn't seen what he himself and his party is doing to blacks in this country. Blacks are, without a doubt, the victims of other blacks in terms of crime in this country. Blacks in the minority community are the victims of illegals in the sense that illegals are taking priority of where they are in terms of programs, school programs, parks, where the illegals come in and literally take away the hopes of black children who have the ability to succeed, and he's preventing them from doing that. And he wants to talk about democracy. What is democracy today for you? I'll tell you what democracy is, Joe. Democracy is allowing Jewish students to walk on campus and not be afraid to enter into a library, not be prevented from entering into schools. But look, this is the same same Joe Biden who, as a senator, voted against integration in schools. This is the same Joe Biden who gave a eulogy for a Klan member, okay? This is a guy who was the racist. And in the end, what he did was he took a moment to create a wonderful period and a wonderful celebration for students and their parents and turned it into hate and divisiveness. But that's who that man is.
Okay.
Yo, there we have it. Oh my goodness. Talk about a complete dumpster fire. We could have seen Biden, turning things, kind of around here in this speech. He got a chance at this commencement speech at Morehouse University. Go ahead, do something positive for a change, to be able to step out of the light of politics, and step into the face of being a regular person and try to relate with, these college students who just, overcame a mountain of struggle. Me being a college student, a college graduate, definitely understand, that it is a struggle, and a grind day and night. You have to work your tail off in order to, get to that moment and sit in that seat. And that's the last thing that I would say I want to hear, or any college student wants to hear. A commencement speech is supposed to be inspiring, inspiration for you to get out there, put your boots on and get to work. I mean, you've worked your whole life in preparation for this moment. You've prepared. Now you've gotten your degree, you've got your diploma, and you're ready for the real world. You're ready to get out there and put your degree to work. This should be an inspiration. This should be an inspiring speech. To drive you in that position, drive you in the direction you need to go. But no, we got Joe Biden, who is so selfish. You can't look past his campaign effort, his failed campaign efforts, that he's going to try to revive his campaign through this speech at a historically black college university. I mean, he didn't do any type of research or, preparation for this speech. It doesn't seem like it because, who did he read this speech to? I find it very hard to believe that Joe Biden read this to his advisors and they green-lighted this speech and said, go ahead, this sounds just about right for the commencement speech or ceremony at HBCU, top HBCU, Morehouse University. It just doesn't make sense, guys. But this is Joe Biden again. He's trying to put that wedge in between the American folks. Like Gutfeld said, he brought a very good point up, where he's saying every time they want us, get distracted or, stop bothering them, the big machine, the big man up there at the top. They create this wedge, the race division in between American people, saying that it should be one race versus another in order to, be a distraction to the American people so they can't understand what's going on or see what's going on in the background. And that's exactly when this guy, Joe Biden, slides right on in there and he's somehow in that seat as president later on this year, guys. So we definitely have to make sure we stay very focused. This is another one of those tactics coming from the left. We can already see straight through this one. And I'm so glad we've seen, so many of the students, turn their back on Joe Biden right there. When I initially read the headline, I was like, maybe they were being a bit dramatic, but then again, it is Joe Biden. So upon further, reading into it, I'm like, oh my goodness, no way he bombed this that bad. Truly disrespectful outing for Joe Biden. These folks work their tails off, their parents, pouring all their time, their resources and their money into their kids. That's the last thing I want to hear as a child or as a parent, overcoming such a large obstacle, especially coming from someone that, sitting on top of a high seat, high position as a president of the United States, guys, commander in chief. You would want to hear some type of uplift and encouragement at the least, or maybe even a praise, congratulations. But no, Joe Biden took this time to try to gaslight the black men of Morehouse into, voting for Joe Biden once again. He's already knowing that, the majority of black votes have left the ship, they've hopped over to Donald Trump. And this was his last grasp at trying to, get the black vote back in a very failed attempt, guys. This kind of reminded me of what he said to, what was his name? Charlemagne the God, where he was saying that, if you don't vote Joe Biden, you ain't black. I mean, come on now. That single-handedly, I think, got Charlemagne the God to not vote Joe Biden right there, and tons of other black men. This is why we're seeing Joe Biden polling so terribly with the black community, especially black men, because we can see straight through, the prejudice and the division, the divisiveness of Joe Biden, what he's trying to put that wedge in between us and our counterparts. It just doesn't make sense. The truth of the matter is we're all living in the same exact America, no matter if you're on the higher end, upper class, middle class, or lower class. I feel like, we're all struggling in some sort. We're noticing that prices are going up for everyone, no matter where you're at. You go to the grocery store, price have hiked, almost double. You know, you go to gas station, the same exact thing. And don't get me started on the housing crisis, guys. And then our open borders, you know, just a cherry on top. I mean, that's sort of been where we started at for Joe Biden, but he doesn't see those kind of issues as an issue. The only issue Joe Biden sees is when, you know, he loses support. He doesn't understand why. And this is exactly why, guys. Definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this one. A terrible commencement speech coming from Joe Biden. In response, we've got Judge Jeanine and the Five absolutely furious going off on Joe Biden. Heck, Harold Ford couldn't even defend him in this one, guys. It was just that bad, guys. Definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Also, make sure you guys hit that share button and share this out to as many Facebook friends as possible, guys. Share the truth. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, guys. It doesn't cost one thing. Hit that like button for your boy. And also hit that subscribe button, guys. We're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. I'll catch you guys on the next week.